Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is the first in a series where I'm going to help you to work through each of the ABRSM Theory and Practice, the Music Theory and Practice workbooks, and we're starting with Grade 1, Section A. And so you will need to access, if you go to sharonbill.com, you can access the free PDF information sheet that I have available to accompany this series, and we're going to be referring to Section A as I've labelled it, and we're returning to time values over this next few minutes. So let's turn straight away in our ABRSM Music Theory and Practice. So we're going to page 4 and we're looking at time values, and I shall refer to this as Section A, so I'm just going to give that a capital A as a chapter heading, and we're looking at time values, and we're looking at the note values, the names that they are given, and also how long each of these notes last for. So if you look at your information sheet, you can see I've written here the various note names. You'll notice that each note has two options as a note name. We either have the classical name, so for example this note here is worth 4 beats and the classical term is a semibreve, or alternatively you can choose the American or sort of pop rock version, which is referred to as a whole note. If you're aware of both of these terms, but in your answer sheet, if you just choose one, just stick to one system. And so all of the information that is on this sheet will give you what you need to know to answer everything on exercise 1. So perhaps just press pause for a moment, have a go at answering these few questions on exercise 1, and then when you've had a little go, re-access into the video and I'll go through those answers with you. Just a little reminder, always write in pencil. I'm using a mechanical pencil just so that it stays nice and sharp, but as long as you've got a nice sharp pencil and an eraser to hand, you will be needing that. So do write in pencil all of the time. So I'm presuming that you've had a little go at exercise 1, and I'm now going to just go through those answers with you, referring to the PDF sheet that I've made available to you on my website. So this first note here, you'll notice, is a circle with no stem and it's not coloured in. Well, it's more of an oval shape really, isn't it? And this is called a semibreve. So you can either refer to it as a semibreve, or if you choose to use the American or pop names, depends which instrument you play really. I've noticed that most drummers and guitarists tend to use the American pop name, whereas pianists, flautists and so on tend to use the classical name. So we would call that a semibreve, or we would refer to that as a whole note. So there we are, that's that one answered. So this next one, it's still an oval that isn't coloured in, but it's got a stem on it now, and that changes the note name. And so this time we would call this a minim, or alternatively, if you choose to use the American pop name, we would call that a half note. It's as well to be aware of both of these terms, and these pop names do actually come in handy later when we're looking at the note values. So now the next note, you'll notice this time, although it's got a stem, it's coloured in now, and we would refer to that as either a crotchet, just watch the spelling there with a T, or you could call it a quarter note. You just need to use one of these options. I'm putting both down just for your information. And then finally, the last little question on exercise 1 is, you'll notice there's a stem, the note head is coloured in, but we've got this little tail here, and now we refer to this as a quaver, or alternatively you would call this an 8th note. So that's those questions answered. Let's have a closer look now at the note values and how long each of those notes last for. And so you'll notice that a semibreve is worth 4 beats. The minim is worth 2 beats. The crotchet is worth 1 beat. And the quaver is worth half a beat. And this is where these pop names do come in handy, because if I just move to the bottom of the information sheet, you can see this pyramid of how the note values coincide together. You can see the relationship between the note values. So this is our 4-beat semibreve, or alternatively you could call that a whole note, and you can see how that divides the value into 2 halves. Think of your fractions. I'm not super ace at maths, but I can just about manage this. And so these half notes or minims are worth 2 beats each. So we can see that a 2 plus a 2 equates to a 4. So we have 2 minims or 2 half notes in the same amount of time as we have 1 whole note or 1 semibreve. So that's your 4-beat note. Each of those are 2-beat notes. And then if we break down again, we're now splitting into quarters. So we've now got 4 quarters to our whole. These are crotchets or quarter notes, and they're worth 1 beat each. And you can see that 2 quarters or 2 crotchets make 1 half or 1 minim. And then 4 quarters or 4 crotchets make 1 whole or 1 semibreve. If we extend that further again, we're now breaking down, and we've now got 8. So we've got 8 here to the same time as we have in our whole note. So we've got eighths fitting into our whole note. Each one of these is worth half a beat. And so we'd either call these eighth notes or quavers, and 2 quavers equate to 1 crotchet, or 2 eighth notes equate to 1 quarter. 4 eighth notes or 4 quavers equate to 1 minim, or 4 half beats or 4 eighth notes equate to a half note. And of course we've got 8 halves into our whole, and if you think about it, half plus half is 1, half plus half again is 2, half plus half again is 3, half plus half again is 4. The only thing I would perhaps advise, if I just bring back down to the top part of the sheet where we look at the actual numbers rather than the chart, you will notice that we've got a half beat, which is an eighth note. So just be careful which is your time value and which is your note name. So a half note is worth 2 beats, so just be careful of that distinction there. So it's up to you whether you can either use your maths brain and just use these note duration values to work out the equivalence, or you can use the chart, the pyramid, to visualize how that maths works together. And that's the information that you will now need to complete exercise 2. So we're going to look at the relationship between the notes. So here we are on exercise 2. And so they've given us an example. The question is, how long is each note? And complete the following sentences with the right number. So here we have a minim or a half note, and they've answered by explaining that it lasts as long as 2 crotchet beats or 2 quarter notes. And if you remember and refer back to your PDF section A, a crotchet is worth 1 beat, a minim is worth 2 beats, and so 2 lots of 1 will equal 2, and that shows you the relationship between the 2 note values. Alternatively, you could just pop back to that chart and you can see that 2 halves equal a whole beat. So if you just press pause on the video, have a go at that, and then when you've had a little go, re-access into this video and I'll go through each one with you. Don't worry if you get it wrong, it's better to learn by your mistakes. You're only writing in pencil, we can always erase and have another go. So just have a go, don't just copy as I give you the answers, but do have a go on your own first of all. You'll learn it so much more thoroughly if you attempt it that way. So I shall leave you to it for a moment. And now I presume that you've had a go at this little exercise too here, and now I'll go over the answers with you. So by referring back to the note values on section A on the PDF, you can see that this note is worth 4 beats and this note is worth 1 beat, and so we know that we can fit 4 sets of 1 into this 4-beat note, so the answer is 4. So that's the maths way of working it out. Alternatively, you can see on the chart we get 4 crotchets or 4 quarter notes in the same time frame as 1 semibreve or a whole note, and so you can either choose to look at it this way, or you can look at the maths and the relationship between these duration time values. Let's crack on with the others then in the same way. So this note is worth 4 beats, this note is worth 2 beats, so 2 lots of 2 equal 4, so there's our answer. Alternatively, you can see that 2 of those fit into that. If you just look into the pyramid shape, you can see 2 of those fit into 1 of those. Okay, let's carry on with this one, we're nearly there. So here we have another 2-beat note, a minim or a half note, that's worth 2 beats. And we have here a half a beat note, a quaver or an 1/8 note. And so we fit 4 halves into 2. So that would be our maths way of working it out. Or if we refer to the sheet, we can see that half plus half is 1, and then half plus half again is 2, and we can see that 4 halves equal 2, and therefore 4 quavers equal a minim, or alternatively we could say 4 1/8 notes equal a half note. So there's our answer 4 again, and that's that section A completed. If you found that you've struggled a little bit with that, then by all means just press pause, rub out your answers and have another go. If you've got that cracked, great, we'll crack on to the next one next video. I hope that's been helpful to you. If it has, if you can give me a like and a subscribe, then you'll be sure to keep up with everything that's going to follow. There's loads in the pipeline. Do go to sharonbill.com and access the information and the resources that I've got available to you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.